would you say is the most underrated program in the country? I got two of them. And I was going at it with one of these fan bases earlier this week because they claim that we never talk about them on the show, but then we do Q&A every single week, multiple times a week. So it stands to reason, if you ask about them, maybe we'll talk about them. The Kentucky Wildcats are one of the two most underrated programs in America. Not teams, programs. Mark Stoops, it could be said, has the best job in America because he makes SEC money, but he has a fan base that is so totally in tune with their place in the college football world. That doesn't mean they're happy losing. They don't lose. This is not a losing program anymore. But they understand that there are some limitations we work against, but at the same time we keep investing in our program, so we keep elevating, but we get it. We understand who we are. I don't think that there is a program in the SEC more in tune with its identity than Kentucky football fans. I know that doesn't get a lot of national attention, but it's true. Mark Stoops has done an overly phenomenal job there. They've got a couple of 10-win seasons over the last few years, but also I noticed this the other day, and it has to be pointed out. They have that program at a place now where the preseason win total, the over-under win total is 8.5. That means Kentucky football now has to win 9 games just for the over to hit. There was a time not too long ago, especially in the early portion of the Stoops era and before, where if your total was in the 5 or 6 range, that gave you hope that you could make a bowl game, and it got a lot of people excited. It's just a whole new day for Kentucky football. They're totally secure in their identity. They linearly progressed. Especially after that first Stoops year, they linearly progressed from 2013 to 2018. He turned that program around from 2-10 to 10-3, and they improved every single year. It was not an up and down thing. And then they've stayed there, and they recruit surprisingly well. I think if I were to put the top 20 in no particular order in front of a random fan from, let's say, Cody, Wyoming, and I were to say, hey, some SEC teams landed in the top 20 this year, why don't you guess them? They would go like 12 or 13 deep before they named Kentucky. And yet there's Kentucky. We're sitting there on National Signing Day this past cycle, and we're talking about Kentucky. We will talk about them more because they continue to do things that warrant being talked about. And that schedule this year sets up for some very special things to potentially happen. I asked the question the other day about Will Levis. There's some hype around Will Levis, the quarterback there right now. And look, we don't do mock drafts on this show, period. But forget about the first overall projection stuff for a second, because it doesn't add anything to the conversation. Here's what you need to know. You need to know Kentucky has a guy with pro tools at quarterback. You need to know that while they lost Wan'Dale Robinson, they have done things to address that in the transfer market themselves. They also have a proven philosophy. They also have proven productivity and also the ability to develop guys there, where just because you don't know the names entering the season doesn't mean they won't perform. But the schedule allows them, if things fall right, to be in contention and be in a conversation that you have not had Kentucky football in quite a while. Kentucky's one of the most underrated programs in America. And the other one is in Stillwater, Oklahoma, a town I was in like last week. Oklahoma State's incredible. They never get talked about nationally. Oklahoma State, I had to look this up to make sure it was true. Someone texted me this stat. Since 2008, that's a long time ago. Since 2008, they only have 2 seasons where they have failed to win at least 8 games. They've got 7 double-digit win seasons since 2008. 7. I think Mike Gundy, Colin gave me this stat. Mike Gundy won Coach of the Year in like 2010 and 2020. There was like a 10-year span between him winning Coach of the Year. He won double-digit games 5 times between winning Coach of the Year awards there in the Big 12. They're 11-5 in bowl games. And then here's the capper. Because you could do this if you recruited at a top 10 level every year. They average a signing class in the low to mid 30s. That's their average ranking in recruiting. Nothing screams We know who we are. We know what we're doing. Leave us alone. More than averaging a 9 or a 10-win season every year, being in the conversation in the Big 12 championship picture every single year, and yet you're never there on signing day. We're never talking about Oklahoma State on signing day. I picture Mike Gundy yawning on signing day. Dude may not even come into the office until like 11:30. He probably gets a quick 9 in while everyone else is sitting around huddled close to a fax machine, partly because it gives off heat that early in the morning, and partly because that's our entire lifeline. The pieces of paper that come through that fax machine, that is what will make or break us. And Mike Gundy's like, I'll just send me whoever you have left over. We'll go beat you with them, and we'll quietly be in the Big 12 championship picture. I'll go and I'll make $5 million. The rest of you can make more. It goes a long way in Stillwater anyway. I'm good. Kentucky and Oklahoma State. Think about the hype that several other programs out there. I'm thinking of one in Austin, and I'm not knocking Texas. I kind of am, but I'm not doing it in a disrespectful way. I just think about every year us coming into a season and talking about the order of finish and how tempted you always seem to be to put that Longhorn logo up above that Oklahoma State logo, because you always think about those signing classes Texas has and if it pans out and if this and if that, and it almost never happens or hasn't in recent history. Oklahoma State and Kentucky, Pate State material, one and all.